Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, the daily series here on the channel where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, which is a lot. It's a lot at the moment. I give you my opinion on it. More importantly, I'm asking for yours. Chelsea are, of course, on the search for a new permanent manager. Many names are being mentioned. Some silly names, in my opinion, like Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho returns, of course. There's the likes of Mauricio Pochettino, which has been touted as an appropriate choice by former Manchester United player and pundit commentator Gary Neville. Don't really fancy that personally, Pochettino. I won't go into all the reasons now. Of course, there's the Portuguese geezer, is it Sporting? Amorim. That's still a young manager, 38 years old, quite impressive as well. But as things stand, the two front runners are certainly the bookies' favourites, Luis Enrique and Julian Nagelsmann. Of course, Enrique is without a job and apparently wants a Premier League job. And Julian Nagelsmann, of course, also without a job, but still being paid by Bayern Munich, where he's been replaced by, of course, Thomas Tuchel. And should a team hire Julian Nagelsmann now, they would have to pay a compensation fee. So Chelsea would have to pay a large amount to get Potter out of Brighton, pay their severance package to fire him 7 months later, and then pay more money to hire Julian Nagelsmann. We'll speak about both in this video and talk about said front runners, and then I'll open it up to the floor in the comment section to hear what you guys have to say. So thanks for joining me. Thank you for your interactions. Let's see how many likes we can get. For the Stamford Bridge studio, the ghosts are turning back into human beings in the background. Let's see if we can get a bunch of likes, and thank you for subscribing. Of course, news is popping off. So if you do choose to subscribe, I recommend you hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Alright, Football.London is writing about Luis Enrique, an article by Luke Thrower. Let's read this. Learn a bit, I'll give you my thoughts, and we can talk about Gooby Nagelsmann. Luis Enrique's stance on Chelsea revealed as ex-Barcelona boss eyed as Graham Potter replacement. Chelsea's search for their next manager continues just a few days after announcing the departure of Graham Potter at the helm. The English coach was hired by the new owners as their first managerial appointment, of course, paying nearly £22 million to land him just a few months ago, of course, ladies and gentlemen. After 7 months, though, the project is over as poor results continue to stack up against Potter, leaving the Blues sitting at bottom half of the table. Just a little pause on there. I heard something on the Tifo Football podcast. This was purely speculation. I'm not reporting this as news or as something that was being presented as news. But there was an idea that maybe there was a clause in Potter's contract that if they get to the bottom half of the table by a certain period, then maybe he can get sacked for less or something. I don't know if that's true. I know he's very collaborative in terms of how amicable the divorce has been. While there will be hopes of a quick succession plan of the new head coach, Bruno Solto, of course, will be taking charge of the team on an interim basis. Bruno said this: "I've spoke to them. They've been very supportive." He's focused just on Tuesday, which is today, playing Liverpool, of course. If you want my opinion on Bruno Solto and what he said in that press conference, which he did actually leak a few enticing details about perhaps how he'll play and what he thinks of Chelsea, do go watch my latest upload before this one. You might enjoy it. A whole host of coaches have been linked with the vacant role in the meantime, with the likes of Julian Nagelsmann and Mauricio Pochettino mentioned. Of course, I've already mentioned both of those. Another in the frame is Luis Enrique, the ex-Barcelona and Spain men's national team manager, who is currently a free agent. Enrique has impressed with his patient, possession-based style that has brought about plenty of links to top jobs. And according to Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea really appreciate Enrique as an option, liking his leadership and personality as key attributes to him ahead of a potential hire. Romano adds that the manager dreams of working in the Premier League with hopes of returning to work as soon as possible. That sounds very, very interesting indeed. He would need a long-term project and a clear plan, which is something that could suit both parties amid the reported interest. Now, there's a few things to mention here. Of course, he's a free agent. Chelsea keep paying money for managers to come in. He is he wants to work in the Premier League and he wants a long-term plan. The ownership want a coach who can do a long-term plan. He, as David Ornstein says on the Athletic Football podcast, has a good grasp of English, which I didn't know. I knew Julian Nagelsmann was fluent in English. Most Germans are, Thomas Tuchel, Nagelsmann, Klopp, etc. They all just speak English because Europeans are, cultured and learn multiple languages, unlike us English. We don't really need to, but that's, I think everyone should try and speak different languages. Anyway, I'm digressing here. So he's got that. He wants to work in the Premier League. He wants to work soon. He wants to have a long-term project. He speaks English. And also, as this article says here on football.London, they've been impressed with, of course, his possession-based style, which Chelsea would like. They want to have the ball. Joao Felix wants to have the ball, etc. And also, he's got the leadership and personality as key attributes. Now, if you read the long read on The Athletic of the big story of why Graham Potter was sacked, written by, I think, Simon Johnson, Liam Twomey, possibly Ornstein as well. I know it was a collaborative effort. Really good long read. I'd urge you guys to go check that out if you can. It does speak of, stuff that I thought was a bit of wet speculation of he doesn't have the aura, the Chelsea manager vibes. But apparently he didn't command that much respect, and he was asking Peter staff what the players think of him, and even though that could be viewed as, I was going to make myself a little bit readjusted there, I fit better, a nice sentiment, it kind of demonstrates potential weakness. So for a really headstrong manager to come in, and by the way, Luis Enrique has won the treble with Barcelona. That is different to, Potter being really up-and-coming, impressive hipsters coach at Brighton. He's won the treble with Barcelona. I mean, granted he had the MSN front line of Messi, Suarez, Neymar, but he still won the treble with Barcelona. I mean, how many times can I say that? Barcelona haven't been good since him. Of course, is it Valverde won La Liga after playing a 4-4-2? With Suarez and Messi, I think, but it wasn't the same. But this is total football, 4-3-3, 4-3-3, and it's total football, Cruyffian football. Is that still vogue? Is that still sexy? Is that what people want, or do people just want to win? I mean, this never really worked with Chelsea. This idea of tiki-taka football that Chelsea fans didn't want. We tried to bring in Vish Boish for that, but Chelsea was never about that. Chelsea was about winning and heart and soul and grit. Maybe the tiki-taka has finally caught up with us. And Luis Enrique's 4-3-3 total football, high press, vertical passing, Barcelona tiki-taka is going to come to town. Make no bones about it, ladies and gentlemen. Luis Enrique is a Galactico-level coach, and if he's dreaming of a project and the Premier League and soon, and is a free agent, there's a lot to consider there. There's all kinds of conflicting reports about saying who's going to come in. Of course, Julian Nagelsmann is tricky because you'd have to pay money to Bayern Munich, to get him out. And in fact, look, let me know what you think on Luis Enrique. Excellent coach, excellent guy. Comment down below on him. Let's move over and talk about Julian Nagelsmann. So Nagelsmann, very young, of course, a couple of years older than me. Very, very. He might command more respect to the players because he's just managed Bayern Munich, of course, and he won a Bundesliga with Bayern, but, how do you not? He got sacked for maybe nearly not, rather. But he's got Champions League experience. Everyone saw him in the Champions League with Leipzig wearing his funny little gaps on the touchline. So, he is headliner, and I know he's young, up and coming, sort of relatively hipster coach, but a bit more gregarious and outspoken, or a lot more than Potter, so that might command respect. And he's just maybe a bit of a sort of exotic Galactico Potter. In many ways, in terms of being, and he looks about half the age of Potter, despite only being some years younger. Again, speaks fluent English, isn't currently working, but is employed by Bayern Munich. So should Chelsea, because he's still being paid by them. So technically he's under contract. So it's basically what happened when we took Maurizio Sarri from Napoli, and they'd already hired Carlo Ancelotti, but they had 2 coaches. But De Laurentiis didn't want to just let Sarri go. He wanted to get some money from him. But we were like, look, you're paying this guy. You got 2 coaches. He's not working for you. We'll take him off your hands. But they was like, no, give us money. And I think maybe there's a similar case here. In the end, of course, with this Maurizio Sarri situation, we ended up just juicing up the transfer for Jorginho, and arguably overpaying for him at the time, especially in that transfer climate of back then. And of course, because Man City wanted him, but he ended up coming to Chelsea with Maurizio Sarri, and I think there was the idea of a few like handshakes, like yeah, you pay this much for Jorginho, and you can have him, and whatever. Yeah, there could be something similar going on here. They'll want money. Julian Nagelsmann also, I mean, early doors people thought, they've canned Potter now because Nagelsmann's available. And he suits the idea. Maybe he will just become Chelsea manager. Maybe that is true. Maybe the ownership, although they're doing a stringent and exhaustive search, maybe in the back of their heads is like, yeah, but it's probably going to be Nagelsmann. do you know what I mean? Like, so let's go now before Tottenham, get him. Let's go now before Real Madrid try in the summer, because Carlo might not go on past the summer. He might get the Brazil job. Real Madrid will be looking. I do think there's a good chance Pochettino will go to Real Madrid, because he was never going to go to Barca because he's an Espanyol man. So maybe he'll go to Real Madrid. Of course, he's Spanish speaking, etc. Well, etc. And PSG. Now, I don't know if Nagelsmann speaks either Spanish or French. I'm sure he could learn as an intelligent young man. But Cubs are out here looking for managers. Of course, Luis Enrique is not going to go to Real Madrid as a Barcelona man. And I don't know if he would want to go to PSG. And like Fabrizio Romano said, he's desperate for a Premier League move, where all the sweet money and talent is. So it could be one of these two. Nagelsmann is very, very interesting indeed. And I feel like a lot of the good work he did at Bayern Munich is going to get lost in the wash. I was listening to the Football Ramble, Andy, what's his name? The European expert. This was on BT. Oh, it's going to kill me. Andy Brassel. He was talking about, Choupo-Moting, who's having like an amazing swan song in his career at PSG, and now Bayern having a career best season at Bayern Munich, scoring a lot of goals, and he's been rewarded with a lucrative additional year contract with a lot of money. Scoring instead of Lewandowski, and of course Mane didn't really work down the middle. Now a lot of that is down to Nagelsmann and how he got him cooking, and apparently this guy is a good coach. Again, I don't want to sound like a really lame, wanky football hipster, because maybe I used to be. I'm certainly not anymore. When he was appointed the Hoffenheim coach, I just love the fact how there was this really young dude, similar to my age, he's 27, coaching Hoffenheim, did really well, got the Leipzig job, and then, of course, Bayern Munich paid it. They basically did a Graham Potter and paid loads of money to get him out of this club. Young coach doing well at this club, only to sack him very shortly after. Does that mean it's going to be another Graham Potter? I don't know. Honestly, right now, in terms of coming in demanding respect with a lot of experience, Luis Enrique does seem like the better option, especially if he really does want a project. Maybe that's PR leaking out to try and get the Chelsea job. A lot of people say Julian Nagelsmann, he's young, he fits the bill, he's fluent in English, he can really tactically innovate and will be more headstrong in his ideas, but not as much as Enrique. So it's really, really interesting. I did a poll on my YouTube channel, and Nagelsmann blew Enrique out of the water. In fact, Mia beat Luis Enrique by 2%. So, she's out there. She's throwing her hat into the ring. What do you think, man? Nagelsmann or Luis Enrique? Comment down below. I'll be very keen to learn what you think about this. Boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen. I am torn. I can see the merits of both, and I will try and remain positive no matter what happens, as is my disposition. If you like that, you should subscribe and hit the sweet bell. And I thank you for liking the video, and I look forward to seeing you after the game. Peace.